I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with the feeder flash for Thursday, August the 22nd, brought to you in part by Kansas Regenerative Medical Center. These guys are pioneers in the regenerative medical field, and 60% of their patients are farmers and ranchers. For more information, go to kansasrmc.com. Before it's time, and several weeks ago when I was in Oklahoma City at the LMA convention, talking to a lot of people there, I was visiting with an old timer there that had been through a lot more of these cycles than I've been through, and visiting with him, and we were talking about the market. Of course, it was at all-time record highs, and he says, "You know when this market's going to break?" And I said, "No," and my ears perked up, and I said, "When is it going to break?" He says, "Before you think it's going to." And here we are. Our fundamentals are probably better than they've ever been right now, but it's time. We've run out of steam here. Our cash feeders tanked hard middle of this week. Cash feeders in your sale barns. The CME feeder cattle overdid it on Tuesday, and it come up a little bit on Wednesday, but still down hard this week. And it was led on by the big drop in your directs that were reported, which made your CME cash feeder cattle index drop so much. And looking back at the report, the report, especially the one out of Texas, it did include some heifers, and it included some delivered cattle, which don't go in the index. But all in all, it totaled up 4 times as many cattle as they normally report. And they were more than $10 below what our index average level was. And it sunk our CME feeder cattle index. And it caused a big dump in your feeder cattle early this week. And what that's all brought on is just a loss of confidence in the market. And our live cattle contracts, of course, on Wednesday, they closed up a little bit on your spot in August. Nobody's trading that anymore. But then it was down for several months, down hard for several months, like it's been going here for the late. And then your farther outs were up a little bit. And I think your farther outs on your live cattle, further than we can reach on feeder cattle right now, we're responding to what we hope may be a little bounce that we hope to see here some point in the market. But it's a bear market. I've been bearish all week long. Some of you guys have been upset at me because I've been so bearish all week long. It just felt like a down market. It felt like we had the rug pulled out from under us, and a lot of it, like it or not, was brought on by the Democratic National Convention and all of its promotion this week. And I've probably paid too much attention to it this week, but you just see all the excitement about people wanting to vote for what we've been through here over the last 4 years with this high inflation, interest rates through the roof, and what's been going on. And somehow they've switched it around, making us think that they're going to fix what Trump created. 4 years ago, we didn't have none of this stuff. And but all of a sudden, they've switched it around where it's all Trump's fault. And somebody that was part of the administration that caused all this, with open borders, extremely high inflation, and interest rates going through the roof, somebody that was in the middle of that is going to be somehow the savior of all this. And you guys are saying, "Hey, don't tell us about it. God, we're on your side." No, if you look at the comments on this report here for the last several days, there's a lot of liberals that listen to this. I'm glad everybody that wants to listen to it. The lovers and the haters. And there's plenty of haters out there, guys. But I tell you what, when you've got somebody that looks like they have a good chance of winning the presidential nomination, that has already said that they want price freezes, and they mentioned beef as one of them. Somebody that wants to put limits on red meat. It's a little bit scary here, and somebody that's all in for the Green New Deal. which we know that that's not going to work well with cattle production there. It's scary, and it's scary. It's been bearish. It's caused me to be bearish. It's caused the markets to be bearish. Everything's very bearish. Now, if we could have a positive cattle on feed report, could give us a bounce right away. But this cattle on feed report that's coming up on Friday, the thing about it that makes me question whether there's any chance of it being bullish is all the analysts pretty much agree. The range in guesses is not very wide at all. They're looking at cattle on feed inventories August 1st to be 100%, the same as a year ago. Looking at placements being 104%. And you think, gosh dang, that's pretty high. A lot of places to turn cattle out, a lot of cattle staying out. But the heck of it is, if the placements come in less than what they advertise, less than 104, then somehow I'm guessing they're going to say it was about heifers being kept back, and we've started building our herds back, and then it's going to be even more bearish for the cattle market somehow. But the marketings at 108.2%, that is huge in the face of all this imported beef that we've seen. And I talk about this brush-fed beef that's coming in, and tons of it coming in from South America. Of course, the same packing plants that rule this nation also rule down there. They can buy that stuff for pennies on the dollar if they can get it up here, mix some of our fat trim with it. Boy, does that improve the value of that product. But I tell you what, it's a scary, scary time. When I give you some of these prices on feeder cattle, it's going to shock you if you weren't paying attention here middle of this week. Your feedlots have been puking fat cattle lower every day, starting on Tuesday and again on Wednesday. And it's probably going to get less now. There's some people that's got their heels in the dirt. It's got some really good cattle. They may sell somewhere towards the top of the price range, but the price range that's already been established is a lot lower. Talk about our Punchy Pick of the Month contest. Hey, we're getting close again. That thing comes around quicker than a pickup payment. But the Punchy Pick of the Month contest coming up here in just a few days. You still got time to get your Punchy Pick in. If you snap a picture when you're out doing chores or working cattle or whatever, and you think it's kind of punchy, email that to punchy@nationalbeefwire.com. You're automatically entered to win a huge box of all kinds of swag from Beaver Feed Company in Beaver, Oklahoma, Beaver County Stockyards. Of course, you're going to get some stuff from National Beef Wire and the Feeder Flash, but the best part of that whole prize package is the whole case of Fair Peace, that revolutionary product that's scientifically proven. I'll try to remember to attach a video at the end of this Feeder Flash episode to tell you more about Fair Peace. Don't forget, and I haven't talked about it, but it's happening here this weekend, the 23rd Annual Southern Producers Replacement Heifer Sale out of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And it's going to be on DVAuction Saturday at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. And they've got some really, really top quality replacement heifers that work in that part of the country, guys. And to get on to DVAuction, check those out. Let's talk about your board on Wednesday. August live cattle futures are up 20 cents at 181.22. That's still sub where we've been puking these cattle this week. But October and all the rest of them for the next several months were down hard. October down 97 cents at 174.62. And then the rest of your back months was a mixture. The more nearby were down. And then when you get further out, they were up. Like I said, they kind of responded to the bounce we hoped to get. But from down 82 cents to up 75, which was the farthest out. August feeder cattle up 105, and that was a recovery from being really down hard earlier than the session, which kind of spooked everybody, which is one reason that your cash feeder sold so much cheaper in your sales on Wednesday. But August feeder cattle ended the session at 239.25. September was up 117 at 235.67. You know, that's almost $10 lower than what our index levels are right now, guys. but your further out months were from up 7 cents to up 105. December corn was up 1/4 cent a bushel at 3.98 or 3.98 1/4. November beans up 5.5 cents a bushel at 9.81 1/2. And December hard red winter wheat down 9.5 cents a bushel at 5.51 3/4. The technicals, the squiggly lines on the charts don't look good for our cattle futures, guys. So don't be shocked if this thing continues to drop out of bed here. And even though we came up a little bit on the close, we hit new lows on Wednesday on several of our cattle contracts there. Your fat cattle market, we continued to see more lower trade happen on Wednesday. Iowa sold 900 head. They've sold 15,200 head for the week. That's about half what they do. But live sales on Wednesday were 184 in Iowa. That's $6 lower than last week, guys. Ouch. Dress sales from 290 to 295. Nebraska 1,500 sold on Wednesday and 8,900 for the week. Live sales on Wednesday from 185 to 190. That 190 is on the outside there, guys. But 185 to 190, and dress sales from 288 to 293. Kansas sold 1,100 head on Wednesday. They've sold 3,000 so far this week. And live prices in Kansas from 182 to 185. Sheesh. Some dress sales at 290 in Kansas, northern Kansas there. Texas sold 1,500 on Wednesday and 3,300 for the week. And the only price in Texas for live sales was 183, and that's $2 lower than last week's lower market. A couple of fat cattle auctions there. Sioux Falls Regional Livestock Market or auction there in Worthing, South Dakota. They had 1,400 head of slaughter cattle, including the cows and bulls that they sold on Wednesday. But conventional fat cattle in Worthing, South Dakota sold from 180 to 185 1/4. Suddenly back down where our direct trade is, it was $8 to $9 lower. Ouch. Program cattle, drug-free or non-implanted, sell from 183 to 188.50. Pretty good fat cattle auction at Glacial Lakes Livestock in Watertown, South Dakota. That's a DVAuction broadcaster also. Conventional fat cattle in Watertown sell from 180 to 188. That's $3 to $4 lower. Program cattle selling from 188 to 192.50. That's the highest we've seen this week. Holsteins, fat Holsteins in Watertown, South Dakota is bringing from 166 to 175. Box beef cutout values were higher, but not much, basically steady. And we haven't seen your box beef fall out of bed this week. It's been better. Suddenly, the margins for your packers are a bit better here with the fat cattle dropping all the way out of bed, and your box beef values holding pretty well. But choice cuts on Wednesday afternoon up just 13 cents at 315.21, and selects up 4 cents at 301.08. Your slaughter, and it's all of a sudden holding really well also. So they're making a little bit of money. They still need product. Don't doubt that they don't need product. But 363,000 through the first 3 days of the week. That's 7,000 better than last week, which ended up being over 600,000. It wasn't terrible. And the same week a year ago, we were 3,000 less than that. Talk about what else is going on. Gelbvieh capitalize on crossbreeding with Gelbvieh and Balancer bulls. Raise replacement females with added fertility, increased longevity, and greater productivity. Gelbvieh and Balancer influenced females wean more pounds of calves per exposed cow. For more information on that, go to gelbvieh.org. Talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DVAuction. Late in the day on Wednesday, based on a 800-pound cash auction-only steer up through your middle 12 states, was down hard. 244.53. It was down 323 on a 7-day moving average, with a lot of big sales on Wednesday, and they were a foot lower. So you can bet here in a day or day and a half when CME Cash Feeder Cattle Index catches up, it's going to be a ton lower too. But the latest available was 243.73. which was pulled down by all those cheap directs they put in over the weekend. Talk about our big sales on Wednesday. OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma had 5,900 for their 2-day sale on Tuesday and Wednesday. The feeder cattle on Wednesday, feeder steers $10 to $15 lower. Feeder heifers $8 to $12 lower. This is terrible. Calves on Tuesday were steady to weak and light test. El Reno was your National Beef Wire stick-out sale of the day, just to give you guys the market on what's going on. Hey, there's nothing wrong with El Reno. It's one of our best high-volume sales of the whole week. There's plenty of buying power in there, influenced mostly by your big corporates. Not as many northern farmer feeders as you would like to see, but this is the market in the Southern Plains, guys. And you look at your best tested weights. Of course, on Wednesday it was your feeder cattle, but 821 head of 7-weight steers in El Reno, averaged 743 with a weighted average price of $243.01. 967 head of 8-weight steers in El Reno, averaged 848 at $231.62. Gosh, so you can't doubt how much lower they called the market. 817 head of 9-weight steers in El Reno on Wednesday, averaged 935 with a weighted average price of $219.41. Look at your heifers. 307 head of 6-weight heifers, averaged 635 at $239.45. 655 head of 7-weight heifers, averaged 743 at $224.53. And 411 head of 8-weight heifers in El Reno, Oklahoma, averaged 838 pounds with a weighted average price of $212.10. The market was lower everywhere, guys. Dodge City, Kansas, winter livestock auction there, 3,200 head for them. They called the feeder steers $5 to $10 lower. Feeder heifers $3 lower. Stick out sale that I did see on some middleweight cattle in Dodge City was 53 steers weighed 614 and still bring 294. That's awfully respectable. You think, well, the northern markets, they don't fall that hard. Hey, you know, our most prestigious and premium market that we have that recently added DVAuction broadcasting is Bassett Livestock Auction out there in the Sand Hills of Nebraska. They had 3,300 head of cattle. The feeder steers compared to 2 weeks ago were $8 to $15 lower. Feeder heifers weighing over 8 were called $5 lower. They did have our stick out sale of the day, I'll give you at the end. But man, I mean, it's just tough middle of the week here. Big string of cattle that I saw sold in Huss Livestock Market in Kearney, Nebraska was the Walker red steers there. 511 head of 1,036 pound steers in Kearney, Nebraska bring $227.75. How about a market up in the upper Midwest? Decorah Sales Commission in Decorah, Iowa. They sell 60 steers, weigh 1020 at $233.50. And I mean, that's crazy high for the way things are, guys. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Wednesday in your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, indeed come out of Bassett Livestock Auction in Bassett, Nebraska. And they were NHTC steers, non-hormone treated cattle. So if you know I'm digging for those for a high quote, the market's a wreck. But 124 steers, NHTC and Bassett, weighed 925 and bring 250 and a quarter. And that's your feeder flash for Thursday.
My biggest account is Jeff Slatton, the owner of Beaver County Stockyards. For a while, we was selling him lots of antibiotics to doctor his cattle with. He was having basically a wreck at times. Therapies comes along, we introduce it, he starts trying it out. Almost instantly his vet bill reduced drastically, and the only thing that was changed up was therapies. I've also had other guys, cow-calf guys, this previous fall that tried it. Had one individual out here east of Beaver. First time he's ever tried it. He said he's always weaned his calves, they've bawled, they're right around his house, can't sleep. This is the first year he's used it. He sent me a video one afternoon. The calves are all at the bunk, they're eating, they're spread out doing what they're supposed to do, and not a sound. So he was sold on it instantly. I've had several other reports of that. Lots of people saying that their cattle they act different. They're calmer, they handle easier, they're at the bunk, they're drinking. If your cattle are doing that, they're gaining, they're doing what they're supposed to do.